my slides are really boring visually, but at least I had color, and the color's not coming through. So now they're just really, really terrible lawyer slides. So these look nothing like that, so I apologize. So I really love that I got to come up after Ty, because I really think he set the stage for why inclusion and belonging is really where the emphasis needs to be. So I think a lot of companies, even the most in tune to this issue, stop at diversity, right? They look at the numbers, they have a diverse workforce, and they say, awesome, we won. Right? Even as I said, listen, let me tell you what awesome at the Runway is, check out how diverse our executive team is. But I didn't talk anything about inclusion or belonging or how those people feel or how the other people in the company feel. And I think a lot of you, or at least I know that I have in my experience, have seen situations where companies recruiting really diverse people, right? You get all those women on the engineering team. That was a huge, huge win. But if you don't make those women feel included and that they belong as part of the team, you're going to lose them. And we have statistics about how expensive it is to lose people. So I think the real emphasis, and something that companies don't focus as much on, is around inclusion and belonging. So diversity and inclusion, this is a quote that I think Jennifer referenced earlier, is diversity is being invited to the party, inclusion is being asked to dance. And I will add to the quote, which is that when I think of belonging, I think, when you get to that party, you were invited to the party, awesome, you were asked to dance, great. But sometimes you're at those parties where you're dancing, you're feeling okay, but you're really just sort of playing along. And other times you're at that party where you're like, these are your people. Like, you want to be at that party. You don't want to go home. You're having an awesome time. And that's where I think belonging really comes in. So there's 4 levers that drive inclusion. I thought this was awesome. If you haven't read it, it's a super quick read. There was a new article published this month in Harvard Business Review called Diversity Doesn't Stick Without Inclusion. And I thought it was really great. And I based the basis of my slides on this. So the 4 levers that drive inclusion are inclusive leaders, authenticity, network and visibility, and clear career paths. So the first is inclusive leaders. When you look through this list of key behaviors, I think a lot of this, sure, this drives inclusion, but I think a lot of this are just key leadership principles that are worth implementing just for the sake of having, being a really strong leader. So it's ensuring that team members speak up and are heard. So if you manage to get these folks with a diverse perspective, you need to make sure that you're encouraging them to speak up. Making it safe to propose novel ideas, same idea. Empowering team members to make decisions. So if you've got a bunch of interesting voices in the room, but you're the one making the decision, you're not tapping that potential. Taking advice and implementing feedback. Giving actionable feedback, so really helping those people to develop, and then sharing credit for team success. Then, so a lot of the things that we've been speaking about so far, the lever number 2 is authenticity. That's being able to bring your true self to work. And in this study, they showed that between 1/3 and 1/2 of Latinos and African Americans felt that they weren't able to bring their real true selves to work, that they were compromising authenticity to conform to the company's standards of demeanor and style, right? So if you don't feel authentic, you don't feel like you belong. You don't feel like these are your people at your party, right? You feel like you're acting a little bit. You've been invited to the dance, maybe you've been invited to the party, maybe you've been invited to dance, but this isn't where you really belong unless you can be your true, authentic self. And studies show that in a number of industries, including technology, that leadership roles are given to people in the organization who act like a man. The stereotypical definitions of that. So if you reward that, what you find is that women feel like they have to conform to that stereotype, right? So they're not bringing their authentic selves. The third lever is network and visibility. So it's, once you get a diverse group to your organization, you have to make sure that they are successful. So they've already traversed reverse the uneven playing fields, but it's important to help them navigate it. So that can be done through sponsorship and mentorship, membership in groups, like the affinity groups that I was talking about, and making sure that folks have access to the key stakeholders and the key meetings that they need to be in. The fourth lever is having clear career paths. So if you imagine that folks of a certain type are attracted to mentoring and sponsoring people who look like them or act like them, it's helpful to the other people, even if they don't have the sponsorship and the mentorship, to understand what that path is and how they can navigate the path themselves to career progression. And so we've talked a lot about inclusion, but the other piece is really belonging, bringing your authentic self, feeling part of the team, bringing your whole self to work. And then the last thing that I just thought was super cool is Kat Waters, who is SVP of HR at LinkedIn, coined the term DIBS, which is a combination of diversity, inclusion, and belonging. And that just sort of helps me keep the trifecta in my mind. So I wanted to close with this concept of DIBS. Yeah,